want us to connect leadership with spirituality. That the leadership we talk about is more of a spiritual thing than intellectual. The intellectual dimension will give you all the fine points. While entering this hall, I saw a load of books. You will read and read and read and read and be intellectually equipped. But if the spirituality for you to express leadership is lacking, it will come to naught. And that is where we are in this country. We have well-equipped leaders intellectually, but they hesitate to express leadership because of spiritual deficit. So before I go into this, to tell you right away that leadership is an opportunity given by God for human beings to do God's purpose. I want you to get it clear. I'm not a preacher. I'm a Catholic by birth or by location. Because I was born and I saw that the primary school in my village is a Catholic school, Roman Catholic mission. And so I went to that primary school. And part of my secondary school was also in a Catholic school. St. Patrick's Catholic School, Asaba. But at the point of entering university, we have not started having faith-based university. Perhaps I would have also attended Catholic university. So, it is not to say that I'm saying this from the point of evangelism. I'm saying it from a practical point that for leadership to impart, the spiritual content must be high. And the spiritual content is what you understand, your interpretation of the purpose of God. Why is it that you just cannot do what is good, except what is selfish? Why is it that if you are given a task to do a road that will impact the community, you are not able to do it, but you think of yourself first? This is where we are going to focus on when you talk of leadership. And because the spiritual content is lacking, the intellectual equipping is not translating so well at the downstream end. And so, I will want us to go straight into the topic of the day, which is leadership and value decadence in Nigeria. Finding local implementable solutions. This at once says that there is leadership, but the leadership is rotten. That is the meaning of decadence. My opening remarks define leadership. Who is doing the... Okay. It's like the PowerPoint is not complementing what I'm saying. Leadership is the ability to motivate, direct, and influence individuals or groups to achieve a common objective or vision. Motivate, direct, influence individuals to achieve a common destination. You know, when you go for this leadership training, it mentioned in Harvard and some of these places, they try to replace management with leadership. Management is more mechanical. Management is something you can read up in books. Management is based on theories. But leadership is something, if leadership starts where management stops. I just want to put it that way. That is overall, what are those things that you are going to bring that will inspire people without those theories? That when you move, people want to move with you. When you stop, they stop. When you sit, they sit. That is leadership. And so that charisma, to bring that in people, that is what you call leadership. But management is by rules. You are expected to be at work at 8 a.m. When it is 8 a.m., you are not there. You have come late. It will be followed by sanctions. Leadership, we ask, okay, what would have happened? Why didn't you come late? Why did you come late? Why didn't you come early? And then it's going to go at the level of emotional identification, and then we want to know why you are always coming late, and the leadership will try to solve that problem that is making you to come late. And once that is done, that leadership earns your trust, earns everything about you. And so you see that you are self-motivated to do what is right, even in the organization. And once that becomes very prevailing, that is what you call organizational culture. A culture will be established where people will be self-motivated to do what is right. At the political level, there have been a lot of people trying. I think when at the point of nationalism, African nationalism, when we were trying to get independence from colonial lords, let's say two figures stood out. Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, and then Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. But Julius Nyerere tried as much as possible to create a perspective which he called the African communalism. That which you can do to help the community when nobody is looking at you. That is leadership. But if you look at leadership in a structured manner, that, okay, you have the MD, you have the deputy MD, you have directors, you have all of that. Yes, you call that leadership, the organogram and all of that. But you will see that one will move in the direction of management. But the leadership will come when everybody will move in a way that will benefit the organization and not just work according to rules, according to principle. Okay, mine is to close by 4 p.m. At 4 p.m., even when there is something so essential to do, you will not do it because you have closed. What you are doing is management. But leadership is that spirit that will motivate you to do that extra just for the good of everybody. And so, it requires the ability to make judgments, communicate effectively, and motivate others while promoting team and trust. A good leader exhibits attributes such as integrity, empathy, adaptability, and strategic thinking, ensuring that both the team and corporate goals are reached. Why is leadership important? That is the importance of leadership. Leadership is important because of its capacity to drive development, encourage teamwork, and successfully handle hurdles. What I see in this country is that we have a lot of motivational speakers. When they speak, everybody seems to know what is wrong, but nobody is ready to fix what is wrong. If they are campaigning, they know exactly what is wrong, but nobody is ready to fix it. So the way to know how to fix things is to reduce everything. That if in the end, as a human, what is paramount in your life? If you ask yourself that question and you are able to answer it, then you are moving in the direction of leadership. I want you to know that in creation, our own time is so small. With the most grace, we can only live for about 120 years. My grandfather, who was the Okparuku of Orogu Kingdom, Dr. Tive will know what I mean when somebody is an Okparuku. The oldest man. He was the oldest in the former Eastern Urobo division then. I'm sure he didn't live more than 120 years. And so with the most grace, 120 years. I don't know how long ago it was built. It is still standing. Some family squabbles over land and all of that. I say, yes. From my place, Ogaragbarato, I belong, my family name is OJ. Then I ask those family members, say, yes. We are all fighting for a land left behind by the great-great-grandfather, OJ. Say, yes. Our progenitor, say, yes. Can any of you show me where the man was buried? Can any of you show me his house? Everything had been obliterated. And so it is to tell you that that primary school I was talking about was founded 1955 in my village. The buildings that were built 1955, none is standing. But the primary school is standing because that primary school is in public trust. So leadership is to invest in public trust. And once you invest in public trust, you live forever. Why are some people mentioned? Obafemi Awolowo, Chief Dimas Akpori, they showed leadership. They invested in public trust. And so they are able to enjoy what you call life after death. So leadership is that which will give you life after death. If you are not in that category, if you are not caught out for that, it means you are not showing leadership. And in any case, true leaders will come when it is most difficult. As Martin Luther King once mentioned, that the star shines when it is darkest. So if you are just coasting along, you have not shown leadership. And you could see the leadership of General Gowon. And we have not seen, in fact, he didn't show leadership because he was coasting along. Nigeria had so much resources, everything and all of that. And so, everything looked good. But it is when everything looks so down south, when everything looks so confusing, when nothing good shows in the horizon, that is where you now come with leadership. And that is where we are today in this country. So what we need, leaders. All of you that are in academic gown, the message is for you to take what is upstream and manifest it downstream. If what you have acquired cannot apply or cannot manifest in actual application, then we have learned nothing. And that is what our leaders have been doing. They vacation in US, vacation in Europe, vacation in Asia, vacation in some of the best countries in the world. They come back here and refuse to show leadership. It means their intellect is up and above their spirituality. Leadership connects with the spirit and not the intellect. When there is a preponderance of the intellect, you become an evil genius. All you do is how to cheat the system. All you do is how to cheat the system. Leadership is not mentioned that way. So, the leadership is important because of its capacity to drive development, encourage teamwork, and successfully handle hurdles. Strong leadership offers direction and clarity, ensuring that goals are clear and attainable. Students of history, you know, the most recent one and the most quoted is Lee Kuan Yew transformation from third to first world. You know, that one is easily quoted. But if you look all around, in some of their darkest movements in the development of America, under their own civil war, everything, even the civil rights uprising, down to Europe, where there was an implosion after the revolution in France and all of that, you will see that the way forward was pointed by good leaders. The way forward was pointed by good leaders. And if you go back, just as I will say, perhaps if he didn't found that school, I may not have had secondary education. My parents were very poor. And when my father became the Okparuku of Orogu, it became convenient for me to go to Orogu Grammar School because they needed somebody to cook for the Okparuku. And the tradition is that the person that will cook for the Okparuku is a young man, a young boy, a boy that has not known a woman. So I fit into that purpose, and I was sent along with my grandfather in 1974 to begin first as the cook to the Okparuku and also continue my education at the secondary school level. If that school was not there, I wouldn't have had any opportunity in life. But today, there is nothing in terms of wealth, in terms of physical heritage that you can ascribe to Demos Akpore. But it's one name amongst us that can invoke so much. If Demos Akpore is mentioned today, there are people, including the former MD of Seplat, Dr. Austin Avuru, DIG Akpo-Ibo, the current VC of Osadebe University, Professor Ben Ogojafo. They will rise and stop whatever they are doing to answer that name called Demos Akpore. So what did he leave behind? He left leadership behind. So leadership is not limited by time. It exists through time and space. Anything that is limited by time and space is not leadership. You have shown that is con artistry. You cheated the system. What you did was just to trade with the system. The difference between transactional leaders and transformational leaders. People who are limited, bound by transactions. Anything you do, once the transaction is not right, you don't do it. And that is what you have in the bureaucratic leadership in Nigeria today. When I mean the bureaucratic leadership, the civil servants just have the misfortune of being given a small contract by state government to go and do, and then you have to walk through the civil service to get that contract done. That is where you will now see that they are really tough. We need a change. We need a reorientation for people to know that the results are more important than the processes. Leadership is focused on the result. That is not to say that leadership is Machiavellian, that the end will justify the means. But leadership shows emotional identification. I was appointed the chairman of IDP when this Okwama thing happened. And I had two sets of people to work with. On one side, I had politicians. On the other side, I had civil servants. The politician will tell you what was possible. Yes, we will do this, we will do this, we will do this. They give you some high goals and then stay behind and they will leave you stranded. Then civil servants will come and tell you that for you to get there, you must do this, you must do this. They tell you all the methods, everything, the rules and all that. Then they will go and conspire to frustrate the result. But if you are a leader with integrity, you reach out to the world. So the leader reaches out to the world. I was so taken aback when I heard in your presentation that this program is tuition free. How is it funded? Is they reach out to the world. And why here I have even offered to be part of this program. You reach out to the world. And what gives you the currency to reach out to the world? Integrity. Sincerity of purpose. For the first time when I was the chairman, I will call. There was no telephone call I made that fell through, that didn't come with something. One of the ones that really touched me most was the one I made to every one of you who knows the person. Richard Mofe Damijo, RMD, you know, is a topmost celebrity. And you know the lifestyle of celebrity. Their characteristic is that they are entitled. They feel that knowing them alone is enough compensation for you. They don't think that giving you money is part of their own program. When I called Mofe Damijo, you don't need to explain. Since you have said it, it's okay. And that was how people were donating cows. For an operation that was massive for 7 months, the state government did not spend up to 60 million. Both feeding, everything about that operation. And I was touched when the governor called one day, and for 10 minutes, he was praying for me. You know, he's an elder in the church. He was praying. I was just laughing. To him, it was marvelous. To me, it's normal. That is the way it is. And so, what leadership does is to stimulate people to perform at their best. Why do people refuse to perform at their best? Why are the civil servants also corrupt? Because they see the political leadership as corrupt. There is one man today that moves about. He will talk. Say, go and verify. He will talk. He say, go and verify. You understand? I'm talking of Peter Obi. Go and verify. You know, that man has the political leadership. You know, whoever is in the bureaucratic leadership, you will be cautioned. But when you see that the political leadership is rotten, then the bureaucratic leadership will follow suit. So a leader stimulates people to perform at their best, generates a good and harmonious work atmosphere, and encourages innovation and problem solving. Leadership is not a run of the mill. Leadership is about problem solving. Management, we analyze the problem. Management does the analysis of the problem, crisis. We are in this. What we step in to solve the problem is leadership. When the U.S. was planning to take a man to the moon, I want to tell you something about organizational culture. They were planning this Apollo 11 space mission to take a man, to put a man on the moon. And at the NASA base and all of that, they asked a cleaner, come please, what are you people doing here? He said, we are working to put a man on the moon. A cleaner is not one of the engineers. That is to tell you what you mean by teamwork, organizational culture. Everybody is united in a common purpose. And so when you talk of leadership, everybody in Nigerian leadership should be thinking of how do we take Nigeria from the third world. We have remained third world for too long. When I was born in primary school, third world. Secondary school, third world. University, third world. Post-university, third world. I have retired, third world. When are we going to move from third world? Are we born to remain in third world? This generation, you don't know nothing. When I was in secondary school, do you know my teachers, my science teachers? They were teachers from India. They were teachers from India. And a lot of people that taught us arts and all of that, they were teachers from Ghana. Nigeria was a destination. When you say you are looking for good, you're looking for greener pasture, Nigeria was a destination. The story was told of an Indian person that came to Nigeria, and before he left India for Nigeria, he had applied for a bicycle loan. When he got to Nigeria, he had worked and he had become a car owner, even chauffeur driven and all of that. Then the mother wrote to him and said, oh, please come. Let us celebrate that your bicycle loan has been approved. Meanwhile, the man was already a car owner in Nigeria. That was Nigeria that I went through in the 70s to the mid-80s. And so, there must be a culture change. And that is what leadership tries to approximate. Leadership is not 100 meters dash. It's something that remains with the people. It is a culture that is set and it endures and nothing happens to it. Whoever comes